Virginia's Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling. Lieutenant Governor, how are you? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you? I enjoyed that clip. Sometimes when you just tell the truth, people get upset about it. It was, what Governor Romney really said on that clip. It was just the truth. I mean, look, one of the fundamental questions in this election is whether we're going to have an entitlement society, which is what Barack Obama and the Democrats have done a really good job creating over the past 4 years. More people unemployed and on unemployment insurance, more people on welfare, more people on food stamps or some sort of government assistance, 47% of the American people not paying any federal income tax. So, if you want that kind of an entitlement society, you're going to be drawn to Barack Obama's campaign, or do you want an opportunity society, which is what created the greatness of America, where everybody has a chance to go out and take responsibility for their own actions and achieve their destiny as they choose to achieve it. It's a fundamental question of the campaign. So, sometimes when you tell the truth, people squeal.
I'm sure if the governor could have that 5 minutes back, he would have changed the way it came out.
Well, I think what he meant was 47% of the American people aren't paying federal income taxes, and that is true. And now they do pay other taxes. They pay sales taxes or maybe some state-based taxes. But look, there was a quote, and I've put this quote on my Facebook page many times. There was a quote from a 19th century political philosopher by the name of Alex de Tocqueville,
yes,
who one time said that a representative democracy, which is what we are in the sense that we elect people to go off and represent our views in government, de Tocqueville said a representative democracy will only survive until the people realize they can vote themselves largesse from the government.
Right.
And then it will fail and be replaced, de Tocqueville said, by socialism. And I think the point Governor Romney was trying to make is there is a big segment of the American society today that is in whole or in part dependent on government. And, when you're trying to promote a message of individual rights and individual responsibility and an opportunity society as opposed to an entitlement society, that's a hard message to get through to some of those folks. And I will tell you candidly, I've always felt that a Democratic political strategy is when 50.1% of the American people become dependent on government in whole or in part, they'll never lose another election. Because people who are dependent in whole or in part on government will always vote for bigger government. That's not America. And I think that's what Governor Romney was trying to say. We've got to be an opportunity society, not an entitlement society.
President Obama obviously jumped on it.
If you give a tax break to a billionaire, you can only buy so many yachts.
Well, that's the class warfare thing.
That's it. That's it right there. This has got nothing to do with buying yachts. This is class warfare, politics of envy, jealousy. Now, Lieutenant Governor, we both know that the object of reducing marginal tax rates when you have an economy that is stuck at growing at 1%, that's the only possible way out of it, right?
Yeah, look, we know that higher taxes and more regulation doesn't work. It hasn't worked for the last 4 years. Yet with Barack Obama, we're getting ready, if we reelect this guy, to embark on another 4 years of even higher taxes and more regulation. Doesn't work. If you want to get this economy moving again and create jobs, you have to have lower taxes, you have to have less regulation, you have to get government out of the way and unleash the entrepreneurial spirit and genius of the private sector. So what Governor Romney has said is, I don't want to raise taxes on anybody. I want to provide tax breaks for everybody. So, yeah, he's proposed reducing the corporate income tax from 35%, which is the highest in the world, by the way, to 25% to spur economic growth. But he's also proposed across-the-board tax cuts of 20% in individual income tax rates for every American, and then exempting for lower and middle income Americans completely federal taxation on things like interest and dividends and capital gains. He understands that when you put more money back into the pockets of businesses and more money back into the pockets of families, businesses will use that money to invest and hire. Families will use that money to buy goods and services that they couldn't otherwise afford. that's what stimulates the economy. And every time throughout our history that we've done that, that's what's happened. Every time throughout our history that we've embarked on the Obama economy of higher taxes and more regulation, the opposite has occurred. So, Governor Romney's absolutely right on the policy. President Obama can't debate the policy. His record is a record of failed leadership. He's wrong on the policy issues facing the country. So what's he do? Hope and change becomes attack and blame. And everything that he does now is this campaign of division, distortion, and dishonesty. And if the American people let him get away with it, then we will rue the day, because 4 years from now, we'll continue to struggle economically. The financial foundation of the country will continue to crumble all around us. We just got to have an honest conversation with the American people about that and hope that the American people are willing to embrace that and realize that this is a time that we're going to have some adult supervision and leadership in Washington. If not, our country is in serious trouble.
What do you think that Governor Romney has to do to explain in more elegant terms, to coin his word, what he actually meant by those comments?
It's a very smart guy, and he's got good people around him to advise him on these things. I tell you what I'd do. I'd do exactly what I have done in this conversation with you. I'd say, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. And the truth is that we're rapidly on the road to becoming an entitlement society, just another Western European socialistic state. And, I've always felt that this election is about three things. Number one, where is the country today? It's in a mess. Number two, where's it going? That depends on the choice we make in November. It could get better or it could get worse. And then number three, and this is somewhat of a tough one, but I think it's important, this election's about what we want our country to be. Right now we have a president who believes the greatness of America is found in the greatness of her government. And if we believe that as a country, if we're prepared to become an entitlement society, if we're prepared to become just another Western European socialistic state, then, we just have to do nothing, and we'll continue down this drift. But on the other hand, you've got Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan who say, no, look, we don't believe the greatness of America is found in her government. We believe it's found in her people. And the principles upon which this country were founded, the principles that made it the greatest nation on the face of the earth, those principles still work today. Those principles haven't failed. We failed the principles. And we need to get back to those principles and talk about an opportunity society where people have individual rights and individual responsibility, where to the greatest extent possible we get government off their backs, out of their lives, and out of their way, and again unleash this power of the private sector, which is where the greatness of our country is found.
Now, what about if we could go over to President Obama for a minute, about the fact that all of a sudden President Obama has apparently on Saturday or Sunday had an epiphany on his China policy, and he goes out to Ohio responding to a Mitt Romney ad criticizing his policy with the Chi-Coms, and goes out to Ohio, changes his policy, and says all of a sudden we have to get tough. But where has he been on China since he took office?
Well, that's exactly right, and your analysis, I think, is exactly right. Governor Romney had started hitting the president on what we feel has been a weak China policy, allowing China to cheat, and Governor Romney has said we can't allow anybody to cheat, and when people are cheating in international trade and the like, and resulting in a loss of American jobs, I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. I'm going to hold them accountable on that, and I think, frankly, Governor Romney was scoring a lot of points with that argument in Virginia and in Ohio, certainly. So the president goes out and tries to repaint his China policy. And look, this administration will do and say anything that they have to do or say in the last 48, 49 days of this campaign to hold on to power. So, you just got to expect stuff like this. It's kind of classic Obama. It's I call it the Obama bob and weave. You say one thing, then you do something else, and if what you're doing doesn't match up with where the voters are, then you just go out and tell them, well, no, we really haven't been doing that. We've really been doing something else. It's kind of like the ball under those three cups. They just keep moving it around and hoping nobody can figure out what the truth is. And so I think it was kind of a cynical ploy. It certainly is recasting his China policy in fiction rather than fact. And Governor Romney just has to keep calling him on this stuff. We got 3 debates coming up in the month of October. I think they're going to be very pivotal moments in the course of this campaign. It gives us an opportunity again to take this message directly to the American people in the debates and hold the president accountable. We just have to be consistent, and we have to be persistent, and we can't let these other forces that will try their best to distract us. The future of the country is in the balance in this election, and we just got to keep working hard and smart and together. If we do that for the next 48, 49 days, we can get this done.
Lieutenant Governor, we want to thank you for joining us.